Absolutely. We've answered the question, will Nadu or will not don't? Well, it will not do, but in whose hands will it not do? Okay, I'm done. Enough from me. It's time for the finals here at Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. I'm going to pass it on over to Riley and Monty with the call.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank you, Frank, for such an excellent introduction to this matchup. Welcome to the booth for the very last time here at Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. My name's Riley Knight. With me, my stalwart friend and confidant, Mani Davudi, and together we will be calling the final of this Pro Tour. I couldn't be happier to bring you all of the action from the feature match area in such terrific company. Mani, a Bant Nadu mirror here, and we're going to have to delve into what decisive key cards and play patterns that will separate these two players as we head into this match.
Yeah, I think one thing that we can definitely refer to is the semifinals match that we saw previously between Sam Pardee and Eli Cassis, as that was a matchup between the Team Handshake build of Nadu versus Sam and Team Channel Fireballs build of Nadu. And Eli was the higher seed, as Simon is here, and Sam was able to break serve using his excellent main deck tech of the Volatile Stormdrake. So this isn't going to be something new for Sam, being able to be the one that breaks serve and takes a game on the draw. And if he's able to take both of the pre-board games by having that main deck tech, things are going to be really hard for Simon Nielsen.
Well, we'll see how things go here as the players make their way out onto the stage. You can see Sam Pardee, a rather more reserved entrance for him compared to the Danish superstar Simon Nielsen. 5 out of the last 6 events, we have seen Nielsen in the top 8. He's made it all the way to the final here. He'll be hoping to hoist that trophy, but in his way, Sam Pardee, who I think it's only fair to point out is no stranger to success. This bloke has got a couple of GP wins dating back to the early and mid-10s, and top 8s in Pro Tours as far back as, how far are we going back here? To 2016, back in Sydney, in Australia, the greatest country on earth.
Yep.
Where he did very well for himself there. But of course, recently, as recently as Chicago, he made his way into the top 8, and he'll be hoping to, again, make it all the way to the top here. Money.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we heard Simon say earlier as well is Sam is one of, if not the most prolific players in the history of the game. When it comes to playing creature combo decks, there was a time where he was incredibly feared for wielding a birthing pod deck, but now it's really the Court of Calling base here that is giving him his edge. It was actually his wife going into the weekend that said, you know, I don't say this every weekend, but I think Sam's going to win this weekend. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
So so much I hope he's going to win. Now it's full on
I think he's going to win because he's good at Modern, and he's great with a Court of Calling in his hand. And it just so happens to be the absolute best deck in the format. Definitively.
So he's not playing from behind. It's not like he's coming in with some fringe weird deck that people aren't expecting. Nadu is undoubtedly the best deck in the format. And speaking of, off the top of the library,
off the tizzy top.
That's how we do it. So Simon Nielsen here looking very good. Double Shuko, Dryad Arbor, and now the Nadu Winged Wisdom for him. Double Court of Calling in Sam Pardee's hand. In addition to that Wall of Roots, a nice start. But is it going to be too slow here? Because Simon Nielsen is in a terrific spot assembling this combo nice and early.
Yeah, we are once again seeing the advantage of the play versus draw. And
like, do you want to draw it first just so that like it's easier? So
this is a perfect opportunity for us to remind everybody at home, Riley, that in the finals, we are live.
We are live.
There is no fast forwarding through judge calls, fixing sleeves, whatever. Every second of this, we are going to experience in full.
Wall of Roots, Court of Calling, Windswept Heath.
The Wall of Roots.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think so. Oh, I think my extra sleeves here. Where do I put them?
Looks like we may have a sleeving issue. Happens to the best of us. And Simon gets this resolved here. We can talk about the position he's in. Having assembled the combo, Marnie, he's in a great spot. And in game number 1, not a huge number of things you can do about this. Post-board, we see things like Dismember come in. We see counter spells maybe, or ways to destroy Shuko in response to an activation. But here, Sam Pardee's just kind of on a wing and a prayer.
All right, and that's a tap land. So I believe
I should.
that is the end. I believe. No, Simon can Summoner's Pact for a single green creature to keep things going. Because currently, he has nothing else happening. Simon does only play one copy of Dryad Arbor. But he can go get something like, for example, a Delighted Halfling with that Summoner's Pact if he wants to keep things going.
Play.
We have seen an Endurance evoked in to be used for Court of Calling, but currently that would only result in a Court of Calling for 0 for Simon Nielsen, as he does have 1 untapped mana, and it would be the 2 creatures. So.
Right, I'm already on the battlefield here, so that's no good. All right, we're going to see Sylvan Safekeeper here.
Yep.
So that Hallowed Fountain came in tapped.
I believe he fetched for...
Or did he fetch for a Surveil land there?
Yeah, I'm going to have to have... That's fine. So Surveil?
Yep.
Yes, this is all a Surveil that was on the stack from the last Nadu trigger, putting the tap land into play.
Okay.
All
right. All right, 2 looks.
Yep.
That's a miss, and that's a hit, technically.
It's a land.
So now, I believe, Simon can do that Endurance play, Court of Calling with the Evoke on the stack in order to go get another 1-drop, whether that is a Delighted Halfling. I believe only the 1 copy of Safekeeper in play. Could also go get something like a Haywire Might if he wants. That also serves as a 1-drop here. So still avenues to keep going, but this is the scrappiest version of the going off, because Simon is using resources every time to continue to go 2 more looks, and both of those looks need to be good. 1 land is not currently doing anything. So it needs to either be 1 untapped land plus a 1-drop, or it needs to be 2 untapped lands, ideally, to get the Springheart Nantuko into play. These are the type of things that Simon really needs to continue going.
And the thing is, when we see Nadu activations that are, costing 0 mana with a Shuko, with an Outrider on call, they're costing actual nothing. No mana, no resources, nothing, right? You can continue to use the Sylvan Safekeeper to trigger the Nadu, but that comes at quite a hefty cost.
Yes.
Sacrificing your lands and also making your creatures untargetable to future Nadu activations.
And I think Simon passed.
All right, he's going to ship the turn back over to Sam Pardee now, who gets another turn. Court of Calling, Springheart Nantuko, and a couple of lands in hand. Delighted Halfling off the top here for the American.
Yeah, the big issue for Sam is he's missing both pieces of the combo right now. So he needs to find a way to assemble something, whether it is Disruption or the combo of his own, which is pretty close to impossible, I would say, in this position. Again, he has that Volatile Stormdrake, but Simon found the key piece here in the Sylvan Safekeeper to protect. Sylvan
Safekeeper has had a hell of a weekend, overshadowed by the huge headline cards like Nadu and what have you, but Olorada's been there doing work in our feature match area across the entire weekend.
And it is worth mentioning, Nadu, Springheart, and Nantuko, fresh cards, right?
Yes.
They were printed for Modern Horizons 3. Sylvan Safekeeper is one of these new-to-modern reprints, so to see the impact that this card is having alongside something like Phyrexian Tower in the mono-black Necro decks is just really nice to see.
Yeah, just like when they brought Counterspell into Modern in one of the old Horizons releases years ago. These old cards, they pack a fair punch, as indeed do these new cards. So a marriage of old and new, something for the Boomers and the Zoomers here in the feature match area.
Love the Boomers and the Zoomers. Now, notably, Simon has a pretty great position. There is a rather looming reminder on his deck here to pay for a Summoner's Pact next turn in order to not lose the game.
You want to make sure that he pays that 4 mana, because otherwise we're going to be very quickly into game number 2, but I don't imagine he'll do that. So, Court of Calling now for Sam Pardee.
I believe this is a chord for 2.
Try to trade for your Nadu.
Yep. Why would I do X equals 3 when I could just do X equals 2 with the same result here?
This goes back on top. I will.
So Simon can protect. Sacrificing a land will get another Nadu trigger.
Sacrifice my forest, targeting Nadu. As triggered again.
Yep.
So trigger the Nadu.
Halfling in hand.
Deal a delighted halfling. And now
Nadu has
the...
Shroud. Your trigger fizzles.
well, Simon's doing our job for us here. Yes, now it has Shroud and your trigger fizzles.
Little Storm Drake for myself.
So the big hope here for Sam is
Your turn.
more or less he feels resigned to his position.
Mhm.
But what he can do by making Simon sacrifice that land is limit
I'm not
Simon's
comfortable.
ability to
didn't think you were.
play a Nantuko
Probably don't need the
post
help.
Yeah.
paying for the pact. Limit Simon's ability to potentially play a replacement Nadu, and maybe
Veil.
will miss in the 8 or so cards that he's guaranteed to see. Very unlikely. The game is pretty close to over, but Sam is taking every opportunity available to him.
Yeah. Constricting Simon's mana here by making him tap down as many lands as possible for the pact. We see Simon pay the pact. Only a hedge maze left untapped,
Down to
but
14.
a Misty Rainforest will take Simon down to 14 as he goes and finds a Temple Garden.
12.
That land was the big draw, because now Simon can play the Springheart and Tuco
I'll play
before any of the Nadu shenanigans begin.
Which gives him an excellent chance
Yes.
at winning this game on the spot. Here is the Spring Heart Nantuko,
10. I have an endurance. Plus a court.
and reveals Endurance
Well,
and Court of Calling from
Yeah.
hand to demonstrate to Sam Pardee just how dire these straights are
Target here.
for
Once,
the American player.
Twice.
And now
Once,
Simon, look at this, going into top gear here.
Twice.
Land,
Make
trigger,
insects,
we keep going.
and I can court.
And we
And it
stop
looks like
that.
Sam Pardee is going to concede here. Scoop him up, and we are going to game number 2. Simon Nielsen taking out the first game very, very handily there. A little bit of a fumble, little bit of a stumble, trying to stitch things together with the Sylvan Safekeeper. But at the end of the day, untapping, finding the Nantuko, having the Bant, the Nadu, and of course the Shuko. An easy day in the office for Simon in game number 1.
Yeah, I think Simon could have continued going further if he wanted in that spot by firing off the Court of Calling, but maybe off of the Endurance, but maybe a recognition that he is in a position where he doesn't need to do that. The odds of Sam being able to combo off from that position are incredibly low, and he should just
I know, yeah.
play it safe, pass the turn,
At some point
set up to
during
pay for the
as
pact, and
possible.
continue going off the next
There
turn,
is the unsleeved one
and
specifically.
ultimately knowing that he has access to everything
Oh,
he
you had
needs
two?
there.
Now, we just heard
Yeah,
Simon
yeah.
mention to Sam there that he
I
thought he felt like he needed to reach for his sideboard. That's obviously what we do most times after game number 1, but not in Sunday Magic here at the Pro Tour. We are playing best of 5, which means we have 2 pre-boarded games and up to 3 post-boarded games. So what does this mean for the matchup? We mentioned before the importance of a card like Volatile Drake being in the main deck here. This changes the matchup from what it would look like in a best of 3 situation.
This changes the matchup a bit. I do think that it is a consensus
Yeah, I think
that
if it's
Sam
down,
is favored in the pre-board games.
But
But that only gives a certain amount of percentage points, and that doesn't do enough, in my opinion, to outweigh the fact that there is an inherently huge advantage to being on the play in this matchup. So Sam has percentage points going his way for having the better pre-board deck, but that is still at odds with the fact that Simon was the one that was on the play in the first game and was able to get the job done.
Now, however, Sam will be going first. His deck is, in a vacuum, better equipped, at least in this situation here. So all of a sudden, the pendulum swings back the other way. And if we were to guess at who would be favoured in this particular game here, Sam Pardee seems to have his nose out in front.
I would say Sam is overwhelmingly favored in this game.
Okay, so not just his nose in front, but probably
Very favored.
Maybe his head and shoulders as well.
However, that does create a different issue, which is that if Sam, as we do see him taking a mulligan here, if Sam was to lose this game, it would be very hard to come back, because that would require Simon to lose multiple games on the play in the post-board games, where he also gets to even out the matchup advantage, bring in the Storm Drake, have all the tools that Sam has access to, more or less. Of course, their sideboards are a bit different. They are on different teams, different conclusions were reached about what they want their slots to be in the main deck and the sideboard. But ultimately, post-board, things are leveled out. So let's say Sam doesn't keep a hand here, has to mulligan to 5, and he loses this game. That would be disastrous.
Well, looking at this hand, we've got Delighted Halfling, Noble Hierarch, Shuko, Endurance, and 2 lands. Seems like a keep.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty good keep, honestly, as well. When you're down to 6, it's not the sort of hand you're going to toss back.
You have a lot of ways to find a Nadu.
Yes.
And that is, the most important thing is you're set up to have a faster start by being able to go 1 drop, turn 1, Shuko, another 1 drop, turn 2, etc. You have your duplicate Shuko, you have the tools, so
Yeah, I don't have
really,
Bristly Bill, so it's actually the way that I
you
can
just have to
track
find
for
Nadu.
damage
And let's have a look
turn
at
that
Simon's hand
can
here.
go off.
5
You can make
lands,
it into
Nadu,
Dopos,
Court of Calling.
That's
Yep.
so funny.
What do you think of that keep?
Not, like,
well, one of those lands
actually
is an
important,
Urza
but
Saga.
it is funny.
So this is actually 5 lands, a Shuko, Nadu, Court of Calling. So
Yes,
let me tell you, I suddenly feel very good about that keep, Riley.
So Shuko on layaway here, the Urza Saga will be able to fetch out the Shuko after the third counter was put on it.
In all seriousness, though, the issue with this hand is it doesn't have a piece of ramp on turn 1 or turn 2. And that means that Simon isn't able to combo off on turn 3.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, opening things up with a Noble Hierarch here.
Well, never mind, actually, because the Saga getting the Shuko, playing the Nadu on turn 3 will be good enough, and usually it's not, because you have nothing else in play.
Yeah.
You only get 2 looks.
Oh, you only
But
get 2 free
now with
cards.
the Nantuko, the odds of Simon being able to combo off on turn 3 are pretty darn good if Sam gives him that opportunity.
Load it up.
And as Sam's hand does look a little bit weak and getting weaker as well, this is looking better and better for Simon Nielsen. Now the Urza Saga ticks up to 2. Played on turn 1, so he can get that Shuko on turn 3 here. Breeding Pool, and we'll see now, I imagine, the Spring Heart Nantuko. Simon Nielsen setting himself up for an incredible turn 3. Now, what are we saying here?
Simon just drew a Haywire Might, and Sam, because he wanted to go for a Surveil land here, didn't play the second Shuko. So Simon, banking on Sam's ability to only combo off with that Shuko, has played the Might and stayed back. Now, if Sam goes for the combo, and Simon blows it up, he has that duplicate Shuko to follow up and continue going up. Assuming Sam finds a Nadu, we know he doesn't currently have it. But if he can find it in the Surveil or afterwards, then he will be in a very good position to win the game. And if not, Simon is going to look pretty good to be able to finish things. Top. There's very few things you top there.
Haywire Might, the draw here for Sam Pardee.
Okay, that makes sense. Because that can go after that Urza Saga and set Simon back considerably.
Yes, not just setting him back the loss of the Shuko, but also the loss of the land as well. So, Haywire Might, and immediately used to exile the Urza Saga. That's going to gain Sam 2 life. Not the hugest factor in this matchup, but certainly the loss of a land and a Shuko. And as you can see, Simon not happy to see the second Shuko. He built his entire second turn, his entire opening around dealing with that 1 copy of Shuko, but now Sam Pardee in a much better position, having dealt with Simon's game plan, having thwarted his game plan with a second copy of Shuko.
Yeah, so right now, Sam is mildly advantaged because now that he has gotten rid of the Urza Saga, he has effectively gotten rid of Simon's Shuko. Simon has the Nadu in hand, he has a Court of Calling, so he still has the combo rolled up in the ability to get Outright or Encore, but he needs to build up a board state to be able to do that, and that's going to be probably 2 turns from here, because this turn he can go Nantuko, the next turn he will be able to play Nadu, and then have Court the next turn.
It's a much heavier, much more significant mana investment to try to get the Outrider Encore online. Barely costs any mana at all with the Shuko. If you play your Urza Saga, you're not putting any mana into
Big draw for Sam. Can he find a Nadu?
You can find here. No, a bit of a shake of the head. Doesn't look like he's found anything too special here. Beseiju in hand. We'll find out what the second card is before too much longer.
I'm at 9.
You're kind of dying.
Are we just going double Shuko beats here?
Double Shuko Noble Hierarch is 4 damage in attack.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sam says you're kind of dying.
Spring Heart Nantuko isn't too bad here from Sam, but it's not the explosive draw for which he was hoping. Let's have a look at what Simon can find here. In hand, Nadu, Court of Calling, 3 lands.
And Sam has a Beseiju, but not able to leave that up while playing the Nantuko. And considering
my-
Simon is too far away from
Yeah,
comboing off
49
anyways, you can't really afford to leave it up. So does put the shields down
not going
here,
the outrider.
but also knowing that Simon
8 make 2 insects.
will be potentially going off with Outrider means that Boseiju isn't going to do anything in the first place.
So 2 insects from
actually,
the Nantuko here. And another land for Simon Nielsen. We'll
Yeah,
see if he
I
gets a
could
basic,
6.
tries to perhaps extend the bleeding. Nope, down to 6.
Yeah.
So
All right.
6 to 17.
And Simon is 1 mana away from being
Wait,
able
no, I'm
to
just bad at
Court
math.
of Calling for the
I didn't
Outrider
think the
here.
math was working out there, but
Okay.
far be it from me to.
Well, I mean, I could have had an endurance, right?
That is true.
No, that's
If he
true.
had an endurance, it would have been enough. But as things stand, Sam is safe for 1 more turn. So 1 draw will likely
Just pass the
decide
turn then.
whether Sam is able to keep serve or not.
All right. Let's find out what it is. Boseiju in hand. It is joined by a mystery card. We didn't get a look at it. It's Delighted Halfling.
I think
Not what he was wanting to see there.
Sam is very, very far from delighted here,
Yes.
as it does look like, in part thanks to his mulligan, and unfortunately, thanks to his draws, he is going to be going down 0-2 here to start.
So what are we going to see from Simon? The chord to get the Outrider on core, untap, play the Nadu, and then essentially
Good
that's
luck.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. I believe you chump here with 1 insect if you want.
Mhm.
After you block, you tap everything but 1 green, and you go for Outrider, or even just say, okay, I can do this on end step, and just let it go.
Well, we'll see here how Simon wants to sequence
I'm
this,
going to
but he is certainly in a very good position. He takes it
Yeah.
down to 2.
Yeah, because one thing Simon has access to right now is potentially, if he really needed it,
Yeah.
he would have access to double Haywire Might, I believe. No, Simon is. I'm just double checking. I believe they play 2. Yeah, double Haywire
Or
Might.
in the
So he
three, yeah.
could Court of Calling for a second Might if Sam had tried to sneakily combo post combat. Simon would have been able to go, all right, search for a second Haywire Might thanks to that insect, and have double green to activate them. Otherwise, he wouldn't. But as things stand, now everything is set.
Yeah, and the Haywire Might's going to take out one of these Shukos. It's going to gain Simon a little bit of life. Newer players watching this may think, oh, that's a perilously low life total. And certainly in some matchups it would be. You wouldn't want to go down to 2 against a red deck with Lightning Bolt. But here, the life total is a resource. You use your life to protect other resources, the cards you've got in hand, the creatures you've got on the battlefield. And Simon won't be too worried about being burnt out by Sam. On 4 life, he is largely the same as being on 14 or 40. He's just as safe in this combo matchup.
All right. I'm a little interested about Simon's timing of the Haywire Might, as by doing it there, yes, you had the extra mana, but the Shuka wasn't presenting an immediate threat, and the Haywire Might was a target for when this Nadu comes down. Of course, you have a lot of creatures, so maybe not worried about that potential miss, especially thanks to this Boseiju enabling you to go get another land, but it does feel very bleak for Sam Pardee now.
It's not looking good. We see the Dryad Arbor replace
All right, that'll
the
do it.
Nantuko, and Sam Pardee only needs to see the Court of Calling off the top, and that's all she wrote, sports fans, for our pre-boarded game. Simon Nielsen, a single game of Magic away from being crowned a Pro Tour champion. We're going to give the players a chance to sideboard and switch up their decks in preparation for what could be up to 3 games of post-board Magic. But Sam Pardee, Money, he's going to have to dig deep. He's going to have to find something very special here and pull himself back into this final if he wants to make a match of it.
Yeah, this is a very uphill battle now, and it's going to take a lot. Of course, it is always possible. We just saw Sam whiff a little on finding the pieces. Mulligans happen, magic happens, interaction exists, and the match is far from over, but this is an incredibly tough deficit to come back from if you're in Sam Pardee's seat.
And if you're in Simon Nielsen's seat, you'd be very, very happy heading into game number 3 with a 2-0 lead. We are going to take a quick break, my friends, but stay with us because on the other side of this, we will be crowning a Pro Tour champion one way or the other. Will Simon Nielsen be able to pull off a clean sweep against Sam Pardee, or will the American dig in and fight his way back into this match? We'll find out. Stay with us. We'll be back in Amsterdam after this. Welcome back to Amsterdam, here for live coverage of Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. And you've come at a great time because we are just about to wrap things up in our Pro Tour final. My name's Riley Knight, and I've got the great fortune to be joined by the inestimable Mani Davudi. And it's a great pleasure to have not just his company, but your company, wherever you are around the world. Thanks so much for being with us here. As we enter into, Mani, what may be the very last game of the very last match of this tournament. Simon Nielsen having picked up both pre-board games, leading 2-0 at this stage against his opponent Sam Pardee. He has to win one more to hoist that trophy, but the man on your screen, Sam Pardee, will be doing everything he can to stop Simon Nielsen from taking out victory here as we head into these post-board games.
Yeah, and if we use Sam's match against Ely as an indication of how the players are going to sideboard against Ely Cassis, Simon Nielsen's teammate, they are both on very similar, nearly identical builds of this Bant Nadu deck. And in that matchup, it was a very restrained sideboarding, as you typically see from combo decks. It is Dismembers, and then there's the Saga coming in from Sam Pardee, taking out, you know, one Spring Heart and Tuco, and then two cards that are less relevant in the matchup.
Worth reminding people, of course, that this is a showdown between the two titanic teams of professional Magic at the moment. Team Handshake, Team Channel Fireball. These teams have been putting up an incredible string of results, although more recently, Handshake, I think, came into this tournament in particular with something to prove, Mani.
Yeah, absolutely. As we think about the current state of Magic when it comes to teams, there are four teams that really come to mind. It is, of course, Channel Fireball Ultimate Guard, as well as Handshake Ultimate Guard, but also Moriyama Japan and Sanctum Evolve. And 2 Pro Tours ago in Chicago, we had a final showdown between Channel Fireball and Team Handshake. But the previous Pro Tour in Seattle, No handshake members in the top 8, something to prove certainly.
Yeah.
And it was an all Moriyama Japan finals. So this is a bit of a return to form for both teams here, as once again we get the showdown between the Titans, and especially Handshake really making a statement by putting 3 members into this top 8.
Showing people they mean business, as they almost always do. But Sam Pardee flying the flag for the older generation of Magic greats on Team Channel Fireball. This team has put up huge results across a great many years, and they came to Pardee today with their hero Sam, who is opening things up with a Sylvan Safekeeper on the play once again.
Yep.
In these post-board games now. And let's not forget Simon Nielsen on the verge of greatness here. 1 win away from a Pro Tour Championship. There's a Saga the play for him. He opens things up with a Haywire Might. And it's back over to Sam for his turn 2. Let's have a look at these hands here, Marty. What do you make of what the players have opened with?
Well, Sam has an all-important might of his own, which is great here because Simon kicked things off with an Urza Saga as the land of choice. So if Sam wants to just go after that Urza Saga and really put Simon back, he has the option to do so. Of course, doing so is going to put him in a situation where the might from Simon's side is going to be checking a potential Shuko pop-off from Sam, but he's pretty far away from that, and as we've seen in previous Nadu matches, you have to limit your opponent's mana. That is a big emphasis of the matchup.
And that's why we see Haywire Might played and then immediately activated. Sam Pardee gains 2 life and will exile that opposing Urza's Saga. Never the way you want to go, losing your first land, but this will put Simon Nielsen on the back foot, removing not just the mana, not just his mana development, but also the Shuko that would have come about as a result of that 3rd chapter of the Urza Saga.
Right, and Simon has access to 1 more land, some mana creatures, and a couple of Wall of Roots that he can't deploy right now. 2 more lands, excuse me. There looks to be a 2nd Urza Saga in the hand, but there is a delighted halfling as well here. And this means that with that Urza Saga, Simon still has access to a Shuko on layaway, albeit a little later down the line.
All right, here's a Spring Heart Nantuko now for Sam Pardee.
Oof.
And a Misty Rainforest to immediately make an insect token.
Yeah, and this is quite an explosive turn here for Sam, as with that Misty Rainforest, he's able to make another insect with the Spring Heart Nantuko, and double Court of Calling in hand means that Sam is well on his way to be able to win without needing to potentially have a Shuko, which means this Haywire Might from Simon isn't checking anything.
This is the thing, right? You've got double Court of Calling. You can find your Nadu, you can find your Outrider on core, or really in a pinch, if you have to, you can get a couple of Nadu triggers with the Sylvan Safekeeper. We've seen that happen. Delighted halfling for Simon, but I think it's Sam who's going to be delighted with how this game has panned out. It's looking a lot better than the opening games, Marty.
It absolutely is, but things are very close now because Simon picked up a Shuko to go with that Nadu and the mana development this turn. So Simon is potentially threatening comboing off as early as next turn. Now, these Court of Callings in the post-board games especially are interactions. Sam has access to go get something like a Volatile Storm Drake and stop Simon from going off, which would be particularly exciting here because if he uses a Court of Calling to go get a Volatile Storm Drake and take a Nadu successfully, he would still be able to use the 2nd Court of Calling to go off the next turn.
All right, I can reveal to the listeners around the world, Marty, what the sideboarding plans were. And as you pointed out, Sam Pardee brought in 2 Dismember and an Urza Saga and a Spell Pierce, took out 2 Teferi Endurance and Sun Cleanser. And look, things look pretty similar on the other side of things. We've got Dismember, Force of Vigor, and Volatile Storm Drake brought in for Simon Nielsen. So again, interactive options, taking out 2 copies of the One Ring, and Bristly Bill hits the board as well. So a light touch for both of these players. But the overarching theme here, Marty, is more interaction in these post-board games.
Yeah, and Sam has an Urza Saga here. 1 unknown card we don't know about in hand currently, and 2 Court of Callings really boosting things here.
Sam Pardee looks to be set up reasonably well, but there is always the threat that your opponent might untap and just hit you with the bird. So Simon Nielsen here. Nadu.
Shuko is the card in hand.
And Shuko the draw here for Sam Pardee.
And notably, Simon has that Haywire Might available to him. But Sam also has a Sylvan Safekeeper. So if he just goes and gets a Nadu here, plays the Shuko, gets one free activation off of it, he could try to force the issue here.
Is that what we're going to see? We're going to see a Court of Calling. This is a chord for 3.
4 for 3.
Yep. Asking the question. It's not going to take much for Sam to be able to pop off here.
Simon Nielsen thinking about it, but what can he do?
He could use the Haywire Might on the Nantuko in response
As it's an enchantment.
and hope that Sam doesn't have the Shuko here, because the Safekeeper plus Nadu is very costly, especially when you don't have the Nantuko in play. But by letting it go, now it'll be a question of, I get to see, is Sam going off with the Safekeeper? And of course, you can't protect the Nantuko with the Safekeeper. But he could have tried to pressure lands, but
I'm
now
really hoping you're going to kill the Saga.
he killed the
yeah,
Saga, he
results.
says.
All right.
Here we go.
Here's the
One
Shuko.
activation before it's gone.
First target.
Response.
And immediately, of
Will,
course, Simon is going to respond just as you predicted, Marnie.
Green Shatter, I guess.
Green Shatter.
I think they call it crumble in
Oh.
some colloquialisms.
So the
I don't speak French. So.
Shuko is
so
exiled.
You're
That's
on
22.
22.
Yeah.
I'm resolving my first
Yes.
Nadu trigger.
First Nadu trigger reveals
Okay,
a
so far
wall
so
of
good.
roots.
That's a good one.
It's not a bad one at all.
Let's see if you have
Don't forget,
four
Sam has
Second
another
one's
Court of
going
Calling
there.
in hand. Discards
That's-
or exiles a, sacrifices a
Ooh.
land in order to trigger Nadu the second time here
Yep.
on that insect token.
Think you keep going, but I'm not sure.
So another land here off the top of a Nadu activation would not only produce a mana, obviously for the Court of Calling with the land itself,
Right.
but would also produce an insect that could be
Yes.
used to pay the Convoke on the Court of Calling.
Right.
So
Sam
it's a
just needs to get to 6 mana.
6 mana between 6 untapped creature or land permanents.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
And that would get him Court of Calling for Outrider Encore, which means he would no longer need to bother with sacrificing lands to the Safekeeper. So the question is, do you just go for it?
Well, we've seen Sam in this more or less in this exact position in the quarterfinals, I believe
Correct.
it was, where he was the semis, where he had a Sylvan Safekeeper and a bunch of lands, and that was the only way he had to activate the Nadu, and he went for it,
Yes.
and he was rewarded for doing so as well.
Yes.
So
And-
will he take the same risk?
Float a
All right.
green.
Yeah. We can just do it like
Sorry.
this, right? So this is the two.
So
yeah.
here's-
I'm going to sack the Saga first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
So here's one thing.
Go ahead.
Float a green.
Sam is going to have the Safekeeper trigger on the stack, and he can choose to sacrifice
And
twice
with that,
because
this is still on the stack.
Yeah.
you
With
want
this
to
happening, so
double
it doesn't have
trigger,
Shroud.
double
This-
target with a Safekeeper,
Mhm.
because you don't want something to
Doesn't
have
have
Shroud and
This one has
essentially
Shroud, but it's also been
eliminate a
replaced.
Nadu ability from it.
Yes, particularly later on if you ever refresh that. You now is the time that Sam he's got a green floating, but this is a little bit of an all-in play here. He needs to hit a land off the top
Yes.
with these land sacrifices that he's making to the Sylvan Safekeeper.
If he double misses on lands, he's in a lot of trouble.
All right, it looks like it's going to happen. Sacrifices.
Oh, he's going for a second Nantuko first. All right. Now he needs a land. But one land will do
Stack
so
targeting
much.
this one, Nadu
Oh, so he
trigger.
let the Shroud resolve. So that one was
is
only,
gone.
it was only targeted once, but
Yes.
now it's in the
Yeah.
can't be targeted again with, yes, okay, I
Oof.
understand. Oh, and a land off the top, but it's a surveil land. It's a
One,
tapped
Two
land.
insects and a surveil.
But that's
Mhm.
big. That is big because it gives him 2 insects.
Okay.
And if he surveils a land to the top here,
Whoa.
oh, yeah, there it
I'll
is.
put this on the
Uh-oh.
stack
Yeah.
and do
Yep,
this.
Simon's
That's
not
a
happy.
land. If that's a fetch land, it's over.
And it's not a fetch land, but it is a temple
enough.
garden. So
That's
that's
6.
That's going to provide enough
Outrider, and we're going to game 3.
Oh,
enough lands and
yeah,
enough
yeah.
creatures here for the Court of Calling for an
Show
Outrider
the
on
guy if you
core.
wanna see him.
Do you want to see him? But I actually just want to see your sideboard, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
And the players are going to shortcut things here a little bit to show, because what Simon wants is, so talk us through what's happening here, Marnie, in terms of the information.
So the end of the combo, the end state that is going to happen here is Sam is going to mill his entire deck and go into the infinite loop that destroys all of Simon's permanents or bounces
Kind of
them back to
feeling so you
hand
go
and
on
with
leaves Simon
Yeah,
with
it's 2 of my
nothing.
With
silver
Ottawara
ones.
and
Ottawara,
Beseiju.
Beseiju,
Not using the
Endurance,
topic,
Sylvan
probably.
Safekeeper loops. So what Simon says is, if I'm going to see your whole deck, just let me look at your sideboard instead of looking through your deck. And this will tell me how you sideboard it, and we can go to the next game.
Because otherwise we have to sit through this convoluted combo where Simon will eventually get this
yeah.
information anyway, so we're sort of shortcutting here a little bit. Sam opting to show him.
No.
Oh boy, and now we're getting into a bit of a completely different sub-game as the players try to figure out which permanent belongs to whom. But it is Sam Pardee who takes out game number 3. Marnie, he has kept himself alive in this Pro Tour final.
Yeah, and you know, this is the issue. You may not be teammates, but you are both sponsored by Ultimate Guard, and that means those sleeves are from the same company.
Very difficult to tell apart.
Yes.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Sam won that game. Huge. But this next game is the first test because Simon's going to be on the play now.
Yes.
Sam needs to win this to push us to a game 5. And then he'll still be in trouble because Simon will be on the play again there.
Yeah.
So still a very uphill battle.
In his post-match interview with Ailey previously, I believe it was after the second final, Sam borrowed a phrase from tennis, right, and described his win as breaking serve in his semis. And this is a very important concept to think about, the fact that when you're on the play, when you're serving in tennis, you have an advantage.
Right.
And if you're able to take that advantage away from someone, if you're able to break serve, win a game when you're on the draw, it puts you in a massive advantage because then you have all these games where you're on the play and you're naturally favoured.
Right.
So Simon winning game 2 when Sam Pardee was on the draw, breaking serve in this way, sorry, on the play, it means that Simon is favoured not in any particular game, but just in the match overall.
Yes.
So Sam does face an uphill battle. It's obviously terrific for him that he's won this game, but now he has to win 2 more on the trot.
Yeah, because this is the real issue is by Simon breaking serve once, he's made it so Sam needs to break serve twice. And that's really the, not an exact science, but the mathematical exchange here that makes that first breaking of serve so important is there isn't a point in the match where Sam can recoup that advantage in any way.
Yeah.
Once Simon's taken it, it is gone.
And he's always fighting.
Right. The rest of the time, Sam is forever behind.
Well, both of these players effortlessly likable. It's very difficult to pick who you'd like to win here, unless, I don't know, you're Caroline Pardee. I'm sure she's probably got a, you know.
Never heard of her.
Never. Poor Caroline, one of our very good friends here, part of the coverage team, of course, working away behind the scenes. But she will be biting her nails at the moment as she watches Sam try to get it done in the feature match area. And of course, as I say, both of these players having hordes of fans, their teammates cheering them on, thousands and thousands of people watching, not just around the world, Marnie, but here in the building at MagicCon. We've got the main stage viewing party over there with Andrea Mengucci and Torolf Severin guiding people through what's happening
And
here
Philippa,
live.
of course.
And Philippa holding the whole show together.
Of course.
And we'd like to thank everyone, Marnie, for choosing to join us this weekend, whether you're watching at home, whether you're here in the building at Amsterdam. What a pleasure it is to have your company as we head into game number 4 between these two players. Once again, Simon Nielsen, one single game victory away from a Pro Tour championship, but Sam Pardee, he's digging in and he's going to do everything he can to stop that victory from happening for the Dane.
And you know, we keep talking about the Channel Fireball Team Handshake matchup that happened in Chicago in the finals. That was Simon. It was Simon losing to Seth Manfield. So this is his second Pro Tour top 8 and finals this season, where he is trying to really get that revenge on his 30th birthday against Team Channel Fireball and claim the victory not just for himself, but for all of Team Handshake.
Simon Nielsen has had such a storied career, going all the way back to the legendary Dane Blast at a World Magic Cup so many, many years ago. Sleeping through his alarms, getting game losses as he arrived late to GPs, but still just putting win after win after win on the board. Will he be able to hoist that trophy you see on the table and proclaim himself a Pro Tour champion? This game may be what determines his fate. We are going to get underway. Simon Nielsen is on the play. Sam Pardee, his opponent. The game score 2-1. Let's have a look at those openers, Marnie. What do you make of things?
All right, well, I see that Simon has a turn 1 Mana Dork, a Shuko, and a Nadu on the play. things are scary.
Saga.
Doesn't even
Yeah,
need the turn on
I
mana
figured
dark,
that's
but
what was
has it
coming.
available
Yeah.
anyways. It's not going to speed your combo up any sooner by having it. So going to put the Shuko first because this will play through a potential Haywire Might from Sam on the Shuko, not on the Urza Saga, of course.
All good in your team.
But by having the Shuko in play, let's say Sam was to go Haywire Might and the next turn blow up your Saga. Simon would still be able to go Halfling this upcoming turn, and the next turn, 3 mana plays Nadu while Shuko is already in play.
Yes, yes. So Urza Saga goes up to 2 as we see Waterlog Grove power out a Sylvan Safekeeper here. In hand for Sam Pardee, Nadu Winged Wisdom, 2 of a Springheart Nantuko and a Summoner's Pact in
Riley.
addition to a couple of lands. What have we found?
There's no interaction for Sam. Sam's hand is all combo pieces, but he is not doing anything to slow down Simon Nielsen, and Simon is going to have pretty good information of that, so this could already be the beginning of the end.
Simon Nielsen finds a Dismember, so there is an interactive card for him. I don't even know that he'll need it here, however.
But I think he's going to fire it off on the Safekeeper.
Okay.
All right, Delighted Halfling, equip the Shuko.
All right, this needs to be an interactive card, otherwise we might be done. Or, you know, close to mathematically done.
Let's see. It is a Dismember. He found a Dismember off the top. That is going to change this game completely, Marnie.
All right, so Sam is going to live to see another day potentially, another turn potentially. Simon may want to go after the Sylvan Safekeeper. This Dismember is not going to get any better. The more lands that Sam is able to get onto the battlefield, the more likely he is to sacrifice a land to keep the Safekeeper alive. So you need to go after it while Sam can't afford to sacrifice a land to it.
Yep, it's the old, you've always got to kill the Mother of Runes before you go after anything else. Legacy players will be familiar with that. Dismember gets rid of the Sylvan Safekeeper. Simon Nielsen sacrifices his Urza's Saga and can go and fetch up a 1-drop artifact. What are we looking for here? Haywire Might?
I think Haywire Might is your... One, it's another creature, so if your combo was to start going off, it would be quite useful. But 2, it is your insurance policy against Sam having an answer here and then comboing off on his own.
All right, here's the Haywire Might now for Simon Nielsen, fetched off of the Urza's Saga. I believe there's 1 colorless mana floating here too.
Correct. That is what that die is almost representing.
Yep.
Simon just thinking whether he is going to fetch as well here or whether he's going to play his Nadu first. Of course, the benefit of holding the fetch is if you hit a Springheart Nantuko early, you'll want that fetch land. And this is all assuming Sam doesn't have that piece of interaction right there, which is the Dismember.
Which he does. A key draw for the American here. Simon Nielsen settling in to his 3rd turn. 1 mana floating. Can cast the Nadu that's in hand. Otawara, Misty Rainforest, Summoner's Pact rounding out the Hand of the Dane. Taking his time in making this decision here. At a moment like this, can't afford to make mistakes.
And it has to be said that with that Summoner's Pact in hand, Simon has the rebuild for the next turn, where Sam isn't able to combo off.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going fetching again or what. So
Yeah, that was my plan, but I changed mine.
didn't want to throw you off. Okay.
All right, Sam Pardee shuffling up after Simon's fetch there earlier, or search for the Haywire Might. All right, here is Nadu, Winged Wisdom. This is cast using that colorless mana from the Urza's Saga, in addition to the Temple Garden and the Delighted Halfling.
Then I will equip to my Delighted Halfling, trigger once.
And in response to the equip, we will see Dismember targeting the Nadu. That means we'll have 2 Nadu triggers total.
Sure, of course, yeah, you go to 14. All right, trigger Nadu again.
Yep.
It's 1 land.
Misty.
Mr. Rainforest.
He is dead.
I think if this is a land... Okay.
It's another Nadu.
All right. If that was a land, Simon would have been able to immediately patch for another Nadu and continue potentially going off. But
as it is, isn't going to be able, because that was
for the turn.
The Misty Rainforest was the
I
land
will-
play for the turn, so that's going to leave a little short.
Last turn.
And
Casting the Nadu.
Sam needs another piece of interaction and an important one because, again, I think Simon will just try to go for it again here with that Nadu picked up.
Which Sam knows about as well, so he can't be feeling good about it. Urza's Saga. What was the draw here for Sam? Was it that Delighted Halfling?
Unfortunately so.
Not a piece of interaction here. Things not looking good for Sam Pardee. He can play a Nadu, but it doesn't really do anything and just clears the way for Simon to run roughshod.
Sure.
All right, as the Saga resolves, the first trigger here.
Giving the opportunity to Simon, of course, to respond with the Haywire Might
Mm-hmm.
before it gets any counters.
Mm-hmm. Which would rob Sam of 1 mana, were that to be the case.
Take a point.
Sam's going to go for Nadu
All right.
and just hope that Simon misses.
Just going to hope that Simon doesn't have it
That's it.
here, but this is not going to be a hope that I think he'll
also
see
my
fulfilled.
feeling. I will
Simon
fetch
Nielsen
twice.
goes down
You got 11.
to 11 here with a double fetch. Misty Rainforests. Might fetch some Surveil lands here, perhaps.
Yeah, at least one of them.
Just in response to each other. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense.
No, it's much worse for you if you do it that way.
way.
I'm okay with whatever shortcuts you want to do.
All right, these players
Yeah, wait, is there
shortcutting
a way to
through
do it?
finding
There's
the
not, right?
lands
So I can
here.
fetch-
Yeah, sorry, what do you want to do?
Yeah, no, so I fed the first one first, just this, and then I respond by fetching a second one.
So this is in response
I
now.
can
There's a
also
bit of a
just-
shortcut, but
I'm
in
just gonna
response to the
get
Surveil trigger,
Yeah,
so
I
you don't
kinda
shuffle
thought
away a
you
card
did,
that you
yeah.
put on the top.
This
Yeah.
is 2 potential surveils.
Yes, yeah,
If-
two isolated triggers of Surveil. One without
even better.
any fetch lands.
One surveil, 1 creature,
Yeah.
and
So I don't have to
Simon
enter too long.
has
Oh,
I had
sorry,
some
getting
on
the
back
dried
in hand as
out.
well.
Yes.
So
I
about
feel
getting all
like
of
that
eight
was
yeah.
probably
looks
what happened.
for Simon, and it is going to be a big
so I got a surveil.
mathematical, not an exact science ask
Uh,
for Simon to miss here.
All right,
Let's just
here's the Surveil
do
from
that.
Hedge Maze. Thinking about whether he wants to keep it on top. He did seem to like the look of it, but no, it's going to hit the bin.
Okay.
It is the Shifting Woodland. And so Simon Nielsen untaps. This could be the last turn of this Pro Tour. Simon is so very close to
Yeah.
closing things out with this Bant Nadu combo deck. It has been
Nadu?
dominant across the entire weekend. And here in the hands of the young Dane on his 30th birthday,
That's it.
he could be crowned a Pro Tour champion. Mani Davuti calling the game and indeed the match and the championship. Here is a Summoner's Pact. Can Sam Pardee read the writing on the wall as Springheart Nantuko hits the battlefield? It's not looking good for the Americans. Simon has been firing on all cylinders.
You made your own luck there.
You make your own luck, he says.
Once.
Finds another Nantuko
This one once.
and a Force of Vigor as well here, looking for... All right, finds a Shuko.
Once.
Yeah, this is it.
Insects.
There's no helping this now. The first insect has been found. That is 2
Twice.
more looks. The second insect will enable a second Nantuko to come on the
Still
battlefield.
my land drop.
And Simon
do.
still has his land drop for the turn. There is an
Once.
Otawara in hand, so this is it.
Two
This
for the
land
9.
drop will
Would you get the
more or
Do it,
less
would you
close it
prefer
out
to
here.
win now?
Phase 2 here for
It's
the Hallowed
it's your
Fountain.
moment.
I,
The Wild
let's go
Halfling
for
goes
first
into
one now.
hand.
Congratulations.
And
Thank you.
congratulations to Simon Nielsen, the champion of Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. He has done it. Years and years of excellence at the highest form of professional Magic have culminated in the apex of this man's career. His 30th birthday crowned in style with the highest victory many Magic players will ever experience, a Pro Tour Championship. Congratulations to Simon Nielsen.
Yeah, this really is the most well-deserved, and I think all of us can say that given how Simon has been playing Magic over the past 2 years, our reigning Player of the Year in the race for Player of the Year, again, the Kai Buddha Player of the Year trophy. This has always been a matter of when, not if, for Simon Nielsen, and he has done it over and over and over again, continuing to get so close time and time again. And this time, as he gets a hug from his fellow teammate Javier Dominguez, who he bested earlier on in the top 8, Simon is the champion.
What a win for Simon Nielsen. What a win for Team Handshake. Simon Nielsen has been playing at the highest level of Magic for a long time, all the way back, grinding the competitive circuit in Europe, putting up result after result, and his career has only flourished and blossomed and grown, and here he is standing today on his birthday, a Pro Tour champion. Well done, Simon Nielsen. What a performance from him.
Yeah, I think Team Handshake proving once again why they are considered one of the best teams in Magic. They take one event off. Of course, they all played, but no players in the top 8. A massive disappointment for them.
And they just say, no,
come back.
This will not do.
Yeah, this will not do. 3 members in the top 8, taking it down. I believe their first victory as a team since Nathan Stoyer's Pro Tour win last season. So this is a massive win for them. And of course, on his 30th birthday, this is another incredible accomplishment for what I would say is inarguably the most accomplished Danish Magic player of all time.
Absolutely. Not a difficult claim to make. Congratulations once again to Simon Nielsen. But very, very quickly, I do want to offer congratulations and commiserations to our very, very worthy runner-up, Sam Pardee. He played his guts out across the top 8. Unfortunately vanquished at the final hurdle for him. But this isn't the last we've heard of Sam Pardee. He has been another very consistent, very dominant player. And look, he thoroughly deserves every accolade and every compliment that's handed to him this weekend. He's played a blinder. Sadly didn't get all the way there, but lost to an extremely worthy foe in Simon Nielsen, our Pro Tour champion. We're going to throw things back over the desk. Before we do that, I want to thank you, Marnie, for being part of the broadcast this week, and thank you for all your expertise and your support across the weekend, and you, the viewer, around the world as well, for contributing to the success of this broadcast. Thank you for being here. That's it from us. It's back over to Maria and the team at the news desk to round out and crown our Pro Tour champion.
What an incredible final. Congratulations to Simon Nielsen on his Pro Tour victory. Frank, I've got to ask for your reaction after that. What an incredible entire tournament Simon has had. Not only this tournament, but indeed the season. Not only this season, but the year before this. And now capping it off, and maybe he's not done yet, with this Pro Tour victory. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely, Maria. Out of the last 6 events, Simon Nielsen made the top 8 of 5 of them, which is already completely ridiculous. But the trophy always was out of his reach. He was 2nd earlier this year, almost there. And now finally, we can not only call him our reigning player of the year,
Yes.
but also a Pro Tour champion. And
Speaking of Player of the Year, Frank, we've been watching the Player of the Year race at the Pro Tour this year. We've got some updates for you. Your reigning Player of the Year, Simon Nielsen, is in the lead again, Frank.
completely incredible. So the Player of the Year race rewards players for their match points at the 3 Pro Tours this season, and then World Championship 30, which is still to come at MagicCon Vegas in late November. And at the moment, indeed, Simon Nielsen, our reigning Player of the Year, is just having a substantial lead. He had an incredible season. 2nd place at Pro Tour Murders at Karlov Manor, then top 32 at the Pro Tour Thunder Junction, and now 1st place at Pro Tour Modern Horizon 3. This is a season for the ages, but indeed, the World Championship is still to come. It is not decided yet, because a lot of incredible players are right on his heels. Jason Yee we saw, right? Top 16, top 8, top 8. Seth Manfield, 1st place, another top 8. Javier Dominguez, 9th, 10th, top 8. And Sam Pardee, who played his heart out in this finals.
Absolutely.
I loved how he tried to combo off with the Sylvan Safekeeper one game. He really did his best with the interaction he had, but there's just no stopping Simon Nielsen.
Absolutely, there is not. And like I mentioned, he might not be done yet. Here with the trophy presentation is Ailey Loney.
Thank you so much, Maria. Simon Nielsen, finally, I can say, Pro Tour champion. What is going on through your head right now?
I don't know. It's just like amazing to go through all of this. I felt like the narrative is just like works out so perfectly with the like, you know, top 8, top 4, top 3, top 2, and now finally this. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this deck is just crazy stupid, and I'm glad I got to play it before it's gone, because it's gonna be gone. Do not invest. Oh right, no, invest in all my Shugos.
He'll sign them for you too, yeah. Simon, I have to ask you, how much of your success over the last couple of years would you attribute to the wonderful players and team around you here?
Like all of it. Like, I mean, it's just I feel like my biggest strength as a player is that like I'm like a sponge that like absorbs information, and I need to have the good information, and these guys are just so helpful and incredible to like be around and learn from, and I love it. I love you all. It's just been wonderful, and seeing our success, like also just like as a group cheering each other on, and building this this machine.
It's a machine indeed. And now I have to ask you, Simon, in Magic, we talk about inevitability. And given your success, your string of top 8s, everything that you have accomplished over the last 2 years, it's inevitable that this moment was coming. But what's next?
I really want my own card, right?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Simon, before I hand this trophy over to you, I need to ask, is there anything you would like to say to your family, your friends, your fans, anything at all?
Yeah, so speaking of that narrative, some of you might wonder why wasn't it 5 in a row? The reason is that Seattle wasn't a Magic Con, so there wasn't so many people here, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who came out here, who are watching on a big screen, like playing like all your games here, enjoying this incredible hobby. Thank you all for being part of this.
Here, here. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Simon, I know it's your birthday, so I got you a little something. This is yours. Let's give it up for our Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 champion, Simon Nielsen!
Congratulations to your Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 champion, Simon Nielsen. What an incredible season. Well, this weekend was special in so many ways. As the 10th Modern Pro Tour ever, it had a lot to live up to in its format's storied history. And live up to it it did, as Modern Horizons proved its place by flipping the script on the format almost entirely. 243 players showed up to throw down on Friday, each with hope in their hearts for victory. But for some, that hope had wings, as Nadu Winged Wisdom soared to the top of the standings and made every player who registered it feel very wise indeed. After an explosive and surprising 6 rounds of draft and 10 rounds of what felt like a brand new Modern, 8 players remained standing, ready to vie for victory. But in the end, it was Simon Nielsen who claimed the trophy and the title, whose name is now cemented in Magic history, right alongside their fine feathered friend. You know, it's not only Kai Buddha who doesn't lose on Sundays. It's also all of us, as long as we have a deck, a battlefield, and of course, the gathering. Be there for the thrilling conclusion of this year's competitive season at MagicCon Vegas, where we'll crown a new world champion, as well as our Kai Buddha Player of the Year. See you then, friends!